What we have to do as property managers, what we ought to be doing is obsessing over the client. What does the client actually want? And that's, I think, a big way that we're different from a lot of other managers is we've aligned our interest with that of our clients. Our fee structure is all performance based. If you don't get paid, neither do we. And a lot of managers are like that. But a big difference is we don't charge for maintenance coordination. So I don't have in-house maintenance. I do not have any financial incentive to do more maintenance on your house. That goes a long way in building trust.
Welcome to Unfiltered, the official podcast of PropertyManager.com. I'm your host, Dylan Scroggins, joined by the founder of PropertyManager.com, Mr. Matt Speer. I got a special guest today from over in Atlanta, Mr. Matt Nelson. Matt serves as the SVP of Property Management at Excalibur Homes. He is also the #1 market leader in Atlanta and #2 on the top 100 list, recently debuted by PropertyManager.com. That is quite an intro. This is going to be an awesome episode. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
We're in the presence of royalty here, Dylan. This is, you got a top 10er. This is our first episode after the top 100 announcement. So no pressure there. We don't have to talk all PropertyManager.com, but still cool. We got the #2 PM here.
I said it before, it's nice to have another Southerner on here where I don't feel like I'm like an alien on these calls. We can talk some SEC football and rag Matt. So I'm just glad to have another, warm Christmas guy on the call with us today.
Yep, absolutely, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to dive into it. I think I'm excited to see us at #2. I'm excited to see us at #1 in Atlanta. I love what we do here. And I think for us, we just try to pursue excellence and see success following that. So it's really nice to be rewarded for that and get recognized.
That's great. No, we appreciate you being here, and I know you have a lot going on, especially at the end of the year. So, Matt, I know you usually kick us off with the housekeeping. You get us going, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah. So, I guess start us off with door count. Where you guys at today? What are some of those goals for you guys moving forward? And obviously wrapping up the 2025. What's been top of mind? A couple questions in there, but I'll let you run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're currently at 1,500 doors. We have managed as many as about 8,400 houses. So we've done institutional in the past, and we grew from about 1,200 doors in 2018 to about 8,400 in 2024. And then those moved over to Invitation Homes. I think both of you are familiar with that. But so at that point, we went back down to about 1,100 doors. In the past 2 years, we've grown about 400 nets. So the growth is there, but it's not enough. I want to be at 5,000 in Atlanta. We've done multiple markets. I've been in Nashville, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Atlanta as well. But Atlanta's our home. We're going to focus on that market. We're in over 100 cities in this market. So we're going to continue focusing on that.
Yeah, lots of opportunity in Atlanta,
Yep.
Just going vertical there rather than, you mentioned a lot of good markets there that you've also been in, but Atlanta's a great market.
It is. And they're all different. Nashville had its own little intricacies, and Florida was different in its way, but we know Georgia. We're experts in Georgia. So that's what we're going to stick to.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about the future of PM, growth, etc. on the back half of this, but I want to hit rewind first. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. You've been in property management. Like, this is your world. This is your life. Tell us more about how you got started and about what you've seen as Excalibur has grown over these last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Honestly, I was lucky I grew up in it. So I was born into it, basically. So it's funny you say we're property management royalty. My brothers and I will say for the chest, if we're trying to raise money for the company, we're trying to do it for all of us, for the war chest. But my dad started the company back in 1985. It was just him in a one-room office. He and my mom grew it to 600 to 800 doors at that point. And then my brother stepped in. So we started in high school. We were turning properties. We'd cut grass. We'd paint houses. We'd do trash outs. A lot of good life lessons came from that, honestly. You learn how certain people live and how not to live, doing turnkeys on houses. But we didn't get sent to the nice houses. We didn't get sent to the A- or the B- houses. We were at the C- houses. So going from doing turnkeys, cutting grass, things of that nature, when I was 18, I got my real estate license and I went ahead and started leasing properties and loved it. So I did that for a couple years and kind of helped pay my way through the first 2 years of college, and then decided to go back full time to school, get my finance degree, and go from there. So once I got my degree, I came straight back to the company and just hit the ground running.
Yeah, your parents were probably trying to tell you to not get involved in property management by sending you to those C&D assets, and then there you were, you know, doing the leasing and then coming right back to it after school. So yeah, I mean, it says a lot about the way you're wired. You know, we kind of stumble into being property managers, and
Yep.
you know, here we are. So
Yeah,
very
I
cool.
wanted to do sales. My brother Dan is in charge of all our brokerage and biz dev and sales, all things sales. And I thought I wanted to do that, but I'm not the sales guy. I'm not the one who wants to answer my phone 24/7. I want my employees to answer my phone, and go from there. But, it's been an interesting journey. I remember my first NARPM class where I had a maintenance basics 101, and we had to go around the room and introduce ourselves. You say your name and say something interesting about yourself. And one woman was named Susan, and she said, "I'm Susan, and I love property management." And I was this little 18 or 19-year-old kid that was terrified, thinking, how can you love property management? How does that work? And then
Yeah,
over the
I
years,
want whatever drug she was on there. That's
I know.
crazy.
Yep. So, well, I've slowly sort of morphed into her. Now I've become Susan, where I love it. I love the little problems that come with it. I love solving it every day. I think that's a big thing for us. It's just problem solving. That's one of the things that went away with the institutional stuff, is that's gone and all those problems left too. So it's quiet right now, which is great.
Well, and being at 1,500 doors, I mean, there's a lot of different problems you run into on a daily basis. Do you feel like, you know, when you wake up in the morning, what's got you excited today? Like, what are the things that you're working on that, are the problems you want to be working on?
Right. Really anything that can make us more efficient. So workflows are huge for us. My dad was he was a helicopter pilot in the Army National Guard. So he started Excalibur, then he went to flight school, which was interesting. So, and he learned a lot from that, including, if you know anything about aviation, they go through a lot of checklists. So we've always been very checklist oriented. Even since the very beginning, we had checklists. And I don't think a lot of NARPA members necessarily did. And he's actually donated several of those forms to the Georgia Realtors. So if you go on there, you can see our move out form or different forms that he's created back in the day. But now we're using Aptly. So it does have AI ability in there, but I don't want to replace my people. I just want to enhance what they're able to do. I want to make it more simple for them. I want them to not have to look in a procedure manual to know how to do something. Just get in the workflow, work the workflow, and it'll tell you along the way. So it helps me from a managerial side, just really in terms of accountability. I can make sure that every question is being answered, every problem is being dealt with correctly. And then I get CSAT surveys. So I know that people are happy or they're not happy and things of that nature. So really it's just being as efficient as possible and making it a really complicated business as simple as we possibly can.
So speaking of surveys, before you got on the call, Matt mentioned that is one of the main reasons of your rise on the rankings in the top 100 was the survey responses. So walk us through how you think about surveys, not just for the top 100, but also for Google reviews, and how you're using that continual customer feedback when it comes to making your business better.
We're doing a really good job at getting CSAT surveys. So from top to bottom, I want to see if our resident support specialists are answering the phone correctly and they getting these questions answered on time. We're not doing a good job at sending NPS surveys. So that's kind of the timing of propertymanagement.com and the surveys worked out perfectly for me, because I knew this has been in the back of my head for years. I need to send NPS surveys. And we've done it before, a couple one-offs here and there, and gotten our results, but we've not been consistent with it. So getting that, honestly, knowing that a good survey result can increase my score, it was a simple thing for me to say, yes, I will send this link to every single one of my clients and go from there.
And how do you think? So it sounds like, especially at the scale of 1,500 doors, using Aptly, using some of those tools to get like real time feedback, kind of that pulse of, hey, what did this customer, like what or tenant or owner, what was their experience with this like individual thing we were doing? I mean, kind of getting that like short-term feedback. And then how does that differ in how you think about like our surveys, our NPS style surveys that we helped you facilitate just through propertymanagement.com? Like how do those two work together? How do you guys think about that as a company at your scale?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly, but we track our metrics in several different ways. We've got a ton of different KPIs. One of the books we read together was Traction, if you're familiar with that. So that's how we're looking to grow our company and make traction, is by tracking everything. But we look at daily metrics, we look at weekly metrics, we look at monthly metrics. I want to be able to see what's coming ahead basically in the pipeline and measure those goals before they happen.
I think it's great. Matt, you want to add something on that?
Yeah. So when I looked at the surveys, for Excalibur, I mean, number one, you jumped off the page because you had the most survey responses of any company. And there's definitely some that were close, but I mean, you nearly had 100 survey responses, which is amazing, right? So, number one, it's like, hey, step one of a survey is send the survey, like ask for the feedback. And when you get enough of those responses, like getting kind of nerdy analytical, it's like you actually have significant sample size to make decisions from. If you send a survey and you got 1,500 doors and you get 5 responses and you make decisions off 5 responses, that's not enough information. You're probably going to miss the point or chase the wrong thing. But with that scale of feedback, like when we looked at your survey responses, something that jumped out to me, there were a lot of really good things there. I mean, I think your NPS score was something like I think it was like in the upper tier, what we would call in the excellent tier, which makes sense why you're, number 2 property manager in the nation. But we also saw like a little bit of the feedback was, okay, maintenance value was really strong, but like maintenance communication was something that, customers wanted more of. And I think that's something that I saw throughout the surveys was that maintenance communication. We think that if you send a message to your owner as a property manager, you're bugging them. Well, the data says no, they want to be bugged when it matters. They want to hear that feedback around maintenance. And so I'm curious if, that type of feedback is something you guys are already thinking about implementing into 2026, or how do you take that survey data and like act on it?
That's a good question. I mean, the first thing is you said we're almost in that excellent tier, but we're not quite there. It can be better. We can improve on that. So maintenance is huge for us. I think it's not just the communication. A lot of owners are complaining about the increasing costs of maintenance too. So one thing we have to remind them of constantly is that all of our vendors are third party, but they're fully licensed, fully insured. They've got work comp. You're not going to get sued. There's no premises liability. A lot of these owners don't understand you're going to save a little bit of money hiring Joe Snuffy, the plumber, to fix something. And all of a sudden he falls off a ladder and now you have one lawsuit and you've lost the property. So that's something we do on the front end. As far as our new owner orientations, we want to just have a visit with them, make sure they understand how everything works and go from there. But we set up our maintenance to really, the owners can dictate how involved they are based on their repair and expense limit. So if you set that at 0, then anytime a maintenance issue comes in, we're going to talk to you and get approval before we do anything, before we send a vendor out there, before we act accordingly. But if you set that at, say, $500, then anything less than that, we'll go ahead and take care of, and we'll just announce it to you. And a lot of clients like that. They don't want to deal with the small things. They know that we're experts. Once we build trust with them, we'll go ahead and increase their repair limits, and they can be a little bit more hands-off. We actually give a discount on the management fee too. If you increase your repair limit to $2,000, I'll just say an X% discount on the management fee. So that's just encouraging the owners to let us do our job. Let us do what we do. We're the experts. We'll tell you what to do next. So we've got excellent maintenance coordinators right now. We've got a great team. They're all remote, but they're, higher tier people that are just getting the job done every day. But you're right. They do want to be pestered. They do want to be poked and updated along the way. And I think that's one thing we can work on better, is just taking those survey results and knowing, at least let's collect feedback better. Let's close these out better. There's issues with the maintenance system that we use as well. So sometimes a vendor can close out a work order and we don't know about it, things of that nature. So we're constantly trying to look for better technology and better ways to enhance our business. So next year, I think it's all It's all tech related. It's a lot of AI, but again, I can't replace my people with AI. I've got a resident support specialist named Frank who gets so many 5-star reviews that I can never replace Frank. I love Frank. He's great. So everyone here loves Frank, and apparently all of our clients do too. So I don't know that we're going to get the same types of results with AI, but like you said, the communication is huge on that piece. So
Yeah.
we want to educate them and just get it closed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we've got to get into the AI piece a little bit. We always joke about, I don't know, sometimes we go on streaks where we don't really talk much about it, but I mean, it's so front and center. We've got to talk about it. But I want to touch on one more thing that you'd mentioned. So maintenance costs going up. I forget who it was. I want to give credit. I think it was Ray Hespin with Property Meld. I think he posted some interesting data on his LinkedIn account. I'm not citing factual data here. It was just what I remember, but I think it was something like in the last 7 to 10 years, maintenance costs through their system are up something like 60%, like something like, whoa, that's a big number. And so if your owners as a property manager don't know that that's happened or just aren't like thinking about it front and center, and the last time they get their water heater replaced was 2017, they're going to have some sticker shock on that repair. And so I feel like the property managers who are really leveraging surveys in the best way, they're taking like, because if you send a survey out like NPS style, that's sort of like your test grade. It's like you've taken the test and you're going to get the results. Whereas when you're operating the business, like some of it's like proactive communication that you need to like prep for the test. And so, letting your owners know, hey, maintenance is up, but we're keeping it under control. And so that when they get the, the big bill or you communicate, like they're actually not surprised by it. And then they, Frank can deliver the value you're talking about and get that, 5-star review. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I think sometimes people think surveys just solve their problems. Like, oh, now that I've done the survey, like we've got what we need. You got to put that into action or else then what? It's just otherwise you just know the end, you just have the test, you got to study for the next test, right? So bad analogy there, but I think it somewhat makes sense.
Yeah. It's a little nerve-wracking too. You don't know what they're going to say. So this is a third-party link I'm sending to all of my clients. What are they going to say about me? And, it's good to get great feedback, but it's also great to have negative feedback so I know where my issues are, where are my pain points, what do my clients want? Because what we have to do as property managers, what we ought to be doing is obsessing over the client. What does the client actually want? And that's, I think, a big way that we're different from a lot of other managers is we've aligned our interest with that of our clients. Our fee structure is all performance based. If you don't get paid, neither do we. And a lot of managers are like that. But a big difference is we don't charge for maintenance coordination. So I don't have in-house maintenance. I do not have any financial incentive to do more maintenance on your house. That goes a long way in building trust. And that's landed us a lot of the larger clients too. When you own 20, 50, 100 houses, I want to work with the company who's not going to upcharge me on maintenance. So educating the clients on that is the biggest piece of it. I think we do a lot of things well. We just need to get better at shouting it from the rooftops. I love that we're number 2. I want everyone in the world to know we're number 2 in the country.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I think the survey thing, one more thing on it, it's like the people that, we've had a really big portion of our clients that have got verified have implemented surveys in a really short period of time, which has been really surprising to me. Dylan and I just did like a top 100 kind of overview together earlier. And that was one of the things that surprised me was how people do fill out surveys. But I think of the people that haven't done it, even the people listening to this right now that are like, they're kind of tensing up. They're like, I'm not, they always revert to my clients don't want to be bugged. Well, newsflash, your clients aren't different than, Excalibur's clients. They are telling us in the surveys, they do want to be bugged. They want the additional communication. That's been the number one thing we've seen is that they want more communication, not less. And so it's just really cool to hear you guys really adopting that and then kind of getting back to the basics of just like creating incentives that work. And I think that the angle on maintenance is smart as well. It's like, there are companies doing a great job with in-house maintenance, but when you're truly doing it third party like you are, it's a huge, huge advantage in terms of how you present yourselves and market yourselves.
It really is. And by the time someone's shopping us, if I mention that, go ask whoever else you're shopping if they charge for maintenance. Go look in their PMA and see what that says. I just think we try to be as owner friendly as we can. If you want to cancel with me, send me an email, and it's free. There's no cancellation charge or anything like that. So building trust, building transparency, things like that. That's what we have to do. And AI, like we've kind of segueing back into it. I mean, creating content, answering these FAQs, that helps create the trust as well. So, and it helps these large language models learn that we are the trustworthy individuals and my competitors are less trustworthy.
So zooming out of Atlanta and more at a national stage, what are some aspects of property management that gets you really excited in the industry in 2026 and beyond?
Honestly, excited and nervous about just increased government regulations. So, there's going to be a lot of investors that continue to be rental home investors and what is it, 75% of the market are self managed right now? I mean, that's a huge chunk of people that don't want a property management company to manage their house. The more government regulations that they impose, I think the more investors are going to need to hire a PMC. At that point, that's great for us. But on the flip side, I think a lot of investors are going to get scared off and go, look, I'm going to get in another asset class. Why would I invest in rental houses when there's all these rent controls or regulations, et cetera, in these markets? I'm going to sell my property, which then decreases the demand. It decreases my growth opportunity. And it's also going to increase the rental rates, for these people. So the government's trying to protect the tenants, and now there's decreased supply and increased rental rates. So, you see that in other cities. Atlanta is better than some cities, but it's becoming more and more blue over the years too. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and if you're a property manager, we've heard a lot of in these conversations, government regulation and that same topic come up. I mean, is there anything we can do about it? Like, what can we do to affect any of that change? Is it like through NARPM? Is it, I mean, maybe there's something our big brand at propertymanagement.com, maybe there's something we can do to help, but what can we do about it other than just being aware of the fact it's happening?
Getting involved with NARPM is a huge first step. So you can donate to their political action committee. You can get involved on their political action committee. You can go to the Day on the Hill and join everyone to go to DC and lobby with them. So I know NARPM, there's a lot of really smart people that care about this industry in NARPM, and they are working really hard to make sure that legislation goes our way. I don't think there's any necessarily stopping it. It's like people that want to stop development in these neighborhoods close by. And I'm like, development's going to happen no matter what. We have to choose what kind of development we want. Do you want to be Alpharetta, like where we are, or do you want to be this other city? You can choose. And it'll be the same way for us. I think we're going to have to choose what works for us and go from there.
And you've mentioned a couple times about, thinking about like chaos and the unknown. I mean, even tying into the government, regulations and also like AI. It's like it's chaos, but there's also a lot of opportunity. So circling back there, you've mentioned AI search a couple times, even before we jumped on the call, and things that you're trying to do to increase that. Obviously, propertymanager.com. We'll love to hear about your influence there, even though we try not to talk about it every episode, but it is a reality on this one. What are you doing in your control to increase your visibility through AI search? And yeah, would love to hear about how you're thinking through that.
Yeah. I mean, visibility is the main keyword here. So it's not all about search engine optimization anymore. It's just visibility. So content is king, and it will remain king. I think with a good content too. It's got to be compelling content. It's hard to do now. So it's a simple thing, but it's not easy. There's nothing easy about creating good content that people want to read and interact with. More FAQs, more video content, keep people on the site. I mean, I think a lot of us property managers don't want to be on video. I'm nervous to be on a podcast right now, but we have to. That's just the part of the game at this point, is to create more content, create more videos, get FAQs answered, and go from there.
Yeah, and something that I've seen. So I think that the SEO world, people are sort of used to, all right, just search property management city state. And if you show up, you're winning. If you don't, you're losing. And I think a really big difference, and here's how I'll prove my point here. Anyone that's listening to this, even us here, if you pull your phone up, whatever you use, Gemini, ChatGPT, I'm big on Gemini now. I like switched from ChatGPT. It's a whole thing. I'll talk about it if you want, but look at your actual history of chats and look at your first thing that you said. And I can guarantee it wasn't like 3 words. It was probably like a detailed paragraph. If you're looking for a property manager, it might be something like, "Hi, I'm looking for a property manager in Alpharetta, Georgia. I've got a duplex here and a triplex here. I want somebody that's, transparent, trustworthy, been doing it a while. What are my best couple options?" So if you're optimizing your website for property management, Atlanta, Georgia, and putting some blog content out for that, like everybody else, you're not going to show up for that long tail, really detailed prompt. What's going to show up is Matt Nelson on the propertymanagement.com podcast with the transcription post. It's that type of content that really matters. And I think people are sort of stuck in that SEO mindset, and AI search is so different. It's a completely new frontier. So you've got me going on AI search now. Here we go.
No, I love it. So it is a new frontier and it's exciting. And I like when it gives me the results I want. So I like when it puts Excalibur up there first and it answers the questions the way I want it to. And I'll try to train it a little bit too. I asked it one day about who the best property manager in Atlanta was, and it answered a different company. And I said, well, according to propertymanagement.com, Excalibur has the highest true rank score. So it quickly corrected itself and let me know, actually, you're right. Excalibur is the best company in Atlanta. So, as that site builds authority, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about what you guys bring to their business too, which is cool.
Yeah, Dylan and I were just talking about this we hope that a big push that we're planning really middle of next year. I don't want to get people too excited right away. It definitely is coming, but like the show me the true match, like show me as a consumer, if the first thing they think of is propertymanagement.com when they're hiring a property manager, like that's going to allow us to really bring that audience to our best property managers. Right. And it's way more complicated. I wish we could do both extremely well at the same time, but it's like, if you got 2 boulders in front of you and your goal is to push one down the path, you kind of got to choose which boulder to start to push. And we've chosen, to work first with the property managers like yourself. But yeah, once we can work on that second boulder and get that, that audience in a really big way to our site, I think it's going to be a good thing for the good operators like you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I saw when I saw that propertymanagement.com was under new ownership, I was excited, but it was funny. In my email signature, I still have that we're the number 1 ranked property manager in Atlanta by propertymanagement.com. And the link still works. So it still goes to my profile in Atlanta, but it just makes me laugh because that was the old propertymanagement.com that gave us that designation. So, but no, I mean, we're thrilled to be recognized, thrilled to be here. But I think, those are the big things for us. I mean, AI search is going to be huge. But you're right. People aren't searching Atlanta property management anymore. They're searching these long-term, at least 12 words, if not more. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But I think it still is a simple solution, and it's just good quality content. And that's not going to change.
Matt, this has been awesome. I think we've gotten a lot here that people can take away with survey responses, AI search, and just you obviously care a lot about your team, but also care a lot about your owners that you represent and the tenants. So you're definitely a caring guy, and we appreciate the time. This is a question that before we get to our wrap up and lightning round, that we like to ask. It's a bit reflective, so feel free to take a minute. Property management is not an easy business, right? If you want an easy business, like go be a babysitter. A bad example because my kids can be bad sometimes. But property management changes people, right? Especially being in a leadership role. How has property management changed you as a person these last 10, 15 years as you've been in the game? And share a little bit about that, how it's changed you as a person.
I think as people, confrontations are probably one of the harder things for us to deal with. Some people are very non-confrontational. I'm a little bit in the middle. But to be able to confront an issue at its head with a client, with a resident, with a vendor, with whoever, that goes a long way. you can talk about technology, but getting on the phone and connecting with someone, meeting them in person, connecting with another person, that goes a long way. And that really matters. So I think just being able to have a confrontation where it ends as a win-win, or even if it is a win-lose, at least I use tact and they went away as happy as possible. That helps a lot. I think the biggest change for me came from outside of property management. You can see my logo here, East Wrestling. I'm a wrestling coach too. I've got a big tournament starting tonight, so I'm excited about that. But those kids have made me a better person. I'll tell them a life lesson and then I just hear it echoing in my head the rest of the week where I think, a kid will say they can't do something. And I say, no, you can, you just can't currently do that. And then I think that same thing the next day. I can't get this done by 4 p.m. Turns out I can. I can do that. And so coaching has changed me tremendously. My dad was actually my coach growing up. And I recruited him. I brought him into the team on Wednesday to tell one of what he calls his hero stories. So this particular one was about Audie Murphy, and I can't tell the whole story, but it's an epic story. It's about 12 minutes long. I recorded it, but at the end, the team was just amped and they practiced harder than they've practiced all year. And we've got a huge tournament this weekend, so I'm excited about it. So that's been a family thing where he's coached me over the years, and now I'm giving back to our community and coaching these kids too, and it's really fun. So that's changed me a lot, more so than property management, I think.
It's awesome, man. I feel like this is like George Bailey and It's a Wonderful Life. We got Alpharetta's finest right here.
There you go. So we try to represent, but no, I mean, we're thrilled that we're number one in Atlanta. We're happy to be here, but we strive for excellence. But those NPS surveys tell us we can be better. So I love it. I want to hear back from everybody and know like there are ways in which we can be better. And we've got a few things. I mean, next time, if you guys have me back on the podcast in a few months, then we might have another thing I can announce, but it's just not ready to announce yet. So I'll keep that as a little teaser for you.
Teaser there. That was interesting.
That was good. Yep. I also have to interrupt here a little bit, and I need to share something I don't think that has ever publicly been shared, but you're talking to an undefeated wrestler from 1st through 6th grade in Jennings County, Indiana. Retired undefeated and then chose to pursue basketball like every other Southern Indiana kid. But yeah, I'm giving me flashbacks to those wrestling tournaments growing up. That's cool to get a little half Nelson. I like the whatever that cradle move was where you go across the face and then go back.
Little cross face cradle.
That was my go-to.
Classic. Yeah,
that was my go-to there.
Yep. So I wasn't a cradle guy. I was
Dylan's
more of
looking at me. He's like, "There's no way this chicken leg guy was wrestling anybody."
Well, it's just funny because you're like 6'1" and I'm like 5'7". If anybody had wrestler stories, it should be me. But we didn't have it back in the day. So Matt, didn't know that, man. I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, that was what was so cool about the hero story was just real quick. Audie Murphy was 5'5", 105 pounds. He was not a large guy, but he's a hero. He's the most decorated veteran from World War II, U.S. veteran. So it's just a really cool story, but it's cool bringing those. We brought this kid Tate up, who's our 106, and he's just lacks confidence. And after that story, he went out there and just got after it all practice. So it was really cool seeing that.
That's awesome.
We're gonna have to link this audio. It sounds like it's too long to share right now, but we're gonna have to link this on the YouTube comments so somebody so people can get in there and listen.
It's a good story.
Right. Yeah, I can't wait to look it up on ChatGPT probably or Gemini for Matt. All right, lightning round here. Favorite tool or app for your business? So this is not a paid ad, preferably not a specific PM tool, or you can share that. But favorite tool or app for your business right now?
Honestly, it's Apply, and it is a PM tool, but
cool.
Apply's been great for us. And, a lot of software you get into, and when they sell it to you, you think, oh, this will be great. This will solve all my problems. And then the more you get into it, the more you get a little bit frustrated because it's not exactly what you thought it might be. And Apply's been just the opposite. The more we get into it, the more we love it.
Love that. Booker podcast, every PM leader should check out.
I mentioned it earlier, but I think traction. So It's all about KPIs, and that's one of my dad's projects. There's a NARPM KPI project we're trying to put together because we want to make sure all NARPA members are tracking KPIs. How can you measure or how can you improve something you're not measuring? So a lot of NARPA members aren't doing that yet. We're trying to encourage them to do that. We're sending out surveys to them so they can answer those and we can actually collect the data in Power BI. So that's
Yeah,
something.
I know it's a lightning round, Dylan, so I'll only interrupt slightly, but I think we're on like podcast like 15 or 20, and EOS and Traction, like the best companies are using Traction. And if you listen to these and it's like you don't just go, okay, what's the thing I should do right now? I should probably go get that book if I haven't. Just end of year quick tip here. Get Traction if you don't already have it. And I wish we got paid for how many times we reference it, because it's like been referenced 100 times at this point.
And also, too, I feel like NARPM's been referenced at least half our podcast, too. So we're big fans of what they're doing in a lot of ways. So shout out NARPM as well. If you're not a member, go be one.
Yeah, absolutely. And go volunteer.
Gotcha. One word to describe the future of property management, Matt. What is it?
For me, it's exciting, but challenging is probably the more accurate word. It's going to be a challenging landscape. It's a challenging market we're in right now. It's different. Normally, if property management's slow or leasing is slow, sales are really, really fast or going really well. But both are in this little stall mode right now. It's kind of interesting, but I think we'll see more of that over the next year. But the market will shift over the next few years too.
Cool. I like it. Well, we really appreciate it. Matt Nelson. We got two Matts here, which didn't throw me off the whole time. But Matt Nelson, thanks so much for the time. Really respect and admire what you and your family have built. It seems like you're just getting started and there's some really big years ahead of you. We really appreciate you having taken some time to be on the pod with us, and a lot of good takeaways, including, Matt Speer's Napoleon Dynamite. What is it, Uncle Rico? Still talking about his wrestling days.
Yeah.
I respect it. No, I'm just kidding, man. That was awesome. Matt Speer, anything you want to end with?
I'd just say good luck at the tournament tonight. I assume it's a tournament. Well, match
It
either
is.
way. Good luck. It sounds
Yeah. So the cool thing is it's at my former school, and I found out yesterday I'm getting inducted to their wrestling Hall of Fame. So that's my
Awesome,
Uncle
man.
Rico moment too.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I love
I
it.
mean, that's not just talking about the good old days. Other people are talking about it. So
There you
I'd
go.
say that's much better than my call out to my undefeated record in elementary school.
No,
We
it's
are
a big deal.
the Mr. Royalty. Matt, awesome week for you, man. Between the top 100 and your high school Hall of Fame, that's incredible. Well, good stuff, man. Well, thanks again. Look forward to hopefully having you on another time, and have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.